Leo friends, something strange is about to happen at home. In just 3 days, you'll leave. And come back rich not just in money, but in clarity, direction, and inner power. That's not a metaphor. It's the kind of shift that can only be explained when your soul is finally aligned with what it deserves. This video isn't just another horoscope update. It's a message that found you at the exact moment you needed it because something in your spirit was calling out, and this was the answer. And no, that's not dramatic. That's what divine timing feels like when it finally clicks. Maybe you've been sensing it too. A quiet change in the air around your home. A restlessness you can't name. A moment of silence that felt louder than usual. Over the next 3 days, something small but undeniable will stir inside the space you live in. Not the furniture. Not the decor. But the energy, something sacred and slightly uncomfortable. Something that tells you, the old way of living is closing. And a new version of you is about to walk through a different door. From September 26th to 28th, cosmic alignments are setting the stage. Venus, the planet of love and value, is forming a rare, transformative aspect with Pluto, the planet of power, endings, and rebirth. This isn't surface-level astrology. This is the kind of alignment that doesn't ask for permission. It rearranges what no longer fits and clears a space for what finally does. And for you, Leo, the sign ruled by the sun, this transformation starts right at your roots, your home, your center, your sense of safety. You might find yourself needing to step away. You may physically leave for a few days, or emotionally detach from a situation that's become too tight, too noisy, or just too outdated. But don't panic. You're not being pulled away to lose. You're being guided into clarity so you can return richer in every sense of the word. You don't need to chase this shift. It's already moving toward you. What you do need to do is stay open. Still. Present. And most of all, honest. Honest about what no longer works. Honest about what you've outgrown. And honest about how ready you are to stop pretending and finally come home to yourself. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for showing up. Not for me, for yourself. Your presence here means you're awake. You're listening. You're responding to a call most people ignore. And that's not something I take lightly. Every view, every comment, every moment you spend tuning in supports this sacred space we're creating together here at Eternal Mindfulness. You being here isn't just support, it's a signal. A sign that you are actively aligning with the next chapter of your life. So please, let me know in the comments, what brought you here today? What made you click? Was it a hunch? A moment of curiosity? Or something deeper you haven't yet put into words? Take a moment to confirm your connection. Right, I'm ready to receive what's meant for me. That sentence alone carries power. It opens a doorway that was waiting on your voice to unlock it. And if something inside you is whispering, don't scroll away just yet, listen to that. Because what's coming next in this reading could very well be the part of the message your soul's been asking the universe to deliver. Stay with me. Let's go deeper. Together. There are rooms in your home that seem harmless, just walls, windows, furniture, a quiet corner you pass by every day. But sometimes, those rooms carry echoes of who you used to be. Echoes of the conversations you didn't finish. The memories you never asked for. The versions of yourself you've already outgrown. And yet, they linger, silently shaping the way you breathe, sleep, and feel when no one's watching. This isn't about superstition. It's about energy, something subtle, real, and often overlooked. Astrologically, the fourth house rules the home. But it's not just about bricks and mortar. It's about roots. It's where your emotional body lives. It holds the vibration of your childhood, your ancestry, your comfort zones, your quiet longings, and sometimes your unresolved fears. Right now, Leo, you're being asked to listen more closely to the energy inside your own space. Not just the clutter on the counter or the light in the hallway, but the feeling you get when you wake up in the morning and can't quite name what feels off. Maybe you've noticed something odd, a strange sound in the middle of the night. A photo falling for no reason. A sudden impulse to rearrange your space or step outside just to breathe. These aren't coincidences. They're shifts. And they're trying to get your attention. The cards confirm this too. When the Tower and the World appear together in a reading, it's rarely gentle, but it's always purposeful. The Tower clears away what's unstable or false, sometimes with chaos. The World then comes in to complete the cycle: wholeness, truth, alignment. It's a cosmic renovation, tearing down to rebuild something that truly fits who you are now. The truth is, your home has been storing more than just your belongings. It has been holding on to thoughts you no longer think, beliefs you no longer agree with, and even energies from people who haven't stepped foot inside for years. And if you're honest with yourself, you might feel that certain corners of your home just don't feel right anymore. That isn't in your head. It's in your field. So what can you do with that? Start by writing it down. Keep a journal for the next 3 days. Not about what's physically wrong, but about what feels off emotionally. Is there a room you avoid? A drawer you never open? A photo that brings more weight than warmth? Write it. Name it. That act alone begins the release. Then do one small act of clearing. Nothing dramatic. Just pick one space, maybe a windowsill, a corner, a shelf, and clean it with intention. Not just to make it look good, but to make space for what wants to come in. When you do this, you're not just tidying. You're telling the universe, I'm ready. I'm ready for new light, new direction, new peace. And if any of this is stirring something in you, if a part of you is saying, yes, I've felt this but didn't know what it was, then you're not alone. You're awakening. And that's why you're here. Let me ask you something real, something simple but powerful. What are you willing to release to make space for your next breakthrough? Write it below in the comments. Not just for me, for yourself. Say it out loud in front of yourself, then type it out. Say, I'm letting go of underscore so my home can become a vessel for my fortune. Because sometimes, clearing a single shelf in your room can become the very act that clears the path to a life you never thought possible. And maybe, just maybe, that's what's starting right now. You can't carry everything, Leo. I know you've tried. You've held on to people, places, patterns because they were once part of you. Because they felt like home, even when they no longer offered warmth. But sometimes, what once gave us shelter eventually becomes too small to hold who we've become. And when that time comes, life will gently or not so gently nudge you to set something down. Not because you're ungrateful. Not because you're giving up. But because the road ahead is asking for your hands to be open, not full. This week, you're entering one of those moments. Astrologically, we're moving through the tail of the full moon phase of energetic release. For Leo, that release doesn't come quietly. You feel it in your chest. You sense it in your sleep. You carry it in your voice when you say, I don't know why, but something's shifting. And that feeling is right. What's shifting is you. In energy work, we often say, when you let go, you create space for light to enter. It sounds poetic, but it's also practical. Your mind can't invite clarity while replaying confusion. Your heart can't attract real love if it's still beating to someone else's rhythm. And your body knows when you're holding stress like an unpaid bill. Eventually, it collects interest. The law of attraction teaches that you don't get what you want, you get what you are. So if your vibration is tied to scarcity, fear, or guilt, even the best opportunities won't land. Not because they're not meant for you, but because they have nowhere to dock. Letting go isn't about losing. It's about aligning. Like clearing a landing strip so your blessings can finally touch down. So here's something small but powerful you can try today. Sit down with a pen and write, what am I willing to release from my life right now? No judgment. No editing. Just let it flow. Maybe it's a relationship that feels one-sided. Maybe it's a story you've been telling yourself about not being enough. Maybe it's just the constant busyness that keeps you from feeling. Let it out. Let it go. Then tomorrow morning, before you pick up your phone, take 3 slow breaths. Not to change your life. Just to remind your nervous system that you're safe. With each breath, imagine old energy lifting off you like dust rising in sunlight. You don't have to understand it. You just have to allow it. And let's be honest, some of this is about everyday choices. The kind you already know, deep down, you need to make. Stop texting the person who leaves you hanging. Stop spending money to numb an emotion. Swap that soda for warm water with ginger. It's not glamorous, but healing rarely is. Healing is quiet. Simple. Brave. Leo, you are naturally wired to shine. But even the sun rests behind clouds. That doesn't make it less powerful. It just means it's in transition. So are you. Trust that. Now I'll ask you to take a breath, just one, and say this to yourself not like a chant, but like a quiet decision. I'm releasing the old. I'm ready for the new. And if that feels true in your bones, I invite you to type it in the comments below. I let go of the old and allow the miracle to come. That's not just a statement. That's a key. Let's see what door it opens next. Love doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, it waits in quiet corners, watching to see if you've finally made room for it, not in your schedule, not in your to-do list, but in your heart. Because real love, lasting, soul level, breath in the dark love doesn't come because you chase it. It comes when you're ready to stop pretending and start being present. Lately, Leo, you may have noticed a strange distance between you and someone you care about. Maybe it's a partner who seems physically close but emotionally absent. Maybe it's silence where there used to be laughter. Or maybe it's a sense that something unsaid is hanging in the air between you, like mist that no one dares to name. That's not a failure. It's a signal. And it doesn't always mean the love is goodnight, might just be buried under layers of fear, pride, or routine. For those who are single, there might be someone who's been quietly orbiting your energy field. They're not random. They're not background noise. There's something about their presence that feels familiar, even if you can't explain why. A glance that lingers just a second too long. A message that shows up at the exact moment you were thinking about them. These aren't coincidences. These are openings. But here's the truth. No one can truly see you if you're still hiding from yourself. In the tarot, when the Lovers appears beside the Empress, it's not just about romance. It's about alignment. It's about coming home to your own wholeness first, so that love isn't something you beg for, but something you naturally attract. It's the vibrational match of someone who has stopped performing and started living with honesty, tenderness, and enough courage to be seen without the armor. Self-love is not a trend. It's not a quote on a screen or a bubble bath on Sundays. It's a practice. One of the most powerful things you can do right now is write yourself a letter as if you were your own ideal partner. What would you want to hear? What kind of support would you offer yourself on your lowest day? Write that. Read it back. Let your nervous system absorb it like nourishment. Love, when it's real, doesn't control. It doesn't rush or demand. It creates space. Space to breathe, to grow, to get it wrong, and to come back anyway. That's the kind of love that changes your chemistry. And that's the love you're being invited to cultivate both within and around you. In numerology, the number 6 represents care, harmony, and the sacred balance between giving and receiving. This is not the time to push. This is the time to soften. Consider wearing colors that calm your system and open your heart: dusty rose, pastel green, soft cream. Not because they're magical, but because they speak to your subtle field and help you tune into the frequency of love, not lack. So let me ask you, has someone been quietly watching you, not out of curiosity, but out of genuine connection? And more importantly, are you ready to be seen? If the answer is yes, if some part of you is whispering, "I'm ready for the kind of love that feels like home," then don't keep it inside. Write it. Speak it. Let it land. I allow true love to find me. That single sentence, offered with sincerity, is more powerful than any dating app or perfect profile. Because love, real love, doesn't need to be chased. It only needs to be welcomed. And maybe that welcome starts right now. Some people return not because they've changed, but because you have. And your growth unsettles them. Leo, this part might sting a little, but it's necessary. When your energy begins to rise, when your light gets stronger, the shadows from your past often come back to test your resolve. Not to harm you. Not even to derail you. But to ask you one simple question: are you really done with the version of you who once accepted less than you deserved? If you've ever noticed someone reappearing just when you finally felt stable, someone who disappeared when you needed them most, or who only knew how to love you halfway, that's not a coincidence. That's a test. They come back with sweet words, vague promises, and the same soft edges they once used to enter your life before. But this time, you've changed. You see things more clearly now. And even if part of your heart still remembers the warmth, another part of you knows the truth. Warmth without honesty isn't love. And desire without respect is just noise. Astrologically, Pluto plays a key role here. It's the planet of transformation, karma, and power dynamics. When Pluto activates your personal journey as it is known, it often brings hidden truths to the surface. These aren't always comfortable truths. Sometimes they show you how much you've given without boundaries. Sometimes they reveal who is benefiting from your silence. But they always arrive with a purpose, to set you free. And freedom, Leo, doesn't always feel like celebration. Sometimes it feels like letting go of a rope you've held for too long, even if that rope was cutting into your hands. You don't need to burn bridges. You simply need to stop walking back across them every time someone yells your name from the other side. In energy healing, there's a simple principle. When your frequency rises, everything that can't match it will either rise with you or fall away. That includes people, habits, environments, and beliefs. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into this new chapter. Some were only ever meant for the page you've already turned. If you're unsure whether someone belongs in your life now, try this. Sit in silence for 5 minutes each night. Don't think about them, feel. Does your nervous system relax when you picture them? Or does something tighten in your chest, your stomach, your breath? Your body knows before your mind is willing to admit it. Then, take a pen and write one sentence, nothing more. I am no longer who I used to be. That declaration might seem small, but it's powerful. It marks a line in the sand between who you were and who you're becoming. The truth is, your light is starting to disturb the people who preferred you dimmer. That's not a reason to shrink. That's a reason to keep shining. Because if someone only wants access to you when you're doubting yourself, they were never in love with your soul, they were in love with your silence. And if you've ever had the strength to walk away from someone who couldn't meet you where you were growing, let it be known. Say it out loud in the comments. I have stepped out of the shadow of my past. That sentence won't just affirm your growth, it will help others find the courage to do the same. And in this space, that matters. You're not failing by closing the door. You're finally learning which ones deserve to stay closed. You don't need to be rescued, Leo. And you never did. The truth is, you've always been the one who saved yourself, even when it didn't look heroic. Even when no one noticed. Even when all you could do was get out of bed and whisper, maybe I'll try again tomorrow. That was still light. That was still fire. Too often, we're taught to believe that strength looks like noise, like bold moves, loud declarations, public wins. But Leo, your strength was never about performance. It was about presence. The kind of quiet inner leadership that doesn't ask for applause. It just keeps showing up. And that's what you've done, again and again. Even when it felt like no one was watching. Especially then. The Sun and Strength, two of your ruling cards in the tarot, are not about ego. They're about essence. The Sun reminds you of who you are when you're not performing, not comparing, not trying to prove your worth. And Strength? That's the part of you that knows how to stay soft without breaking. It's the kind of courage that doesn't roar, but rests. That doesn't fight to be seen, but stands in the truth of being. You don't need to shrink to be loved. And you don't need to shout to be heard. You are the light. Not a flicker, not a reflection, an actual, radiant source. The sun doesn't chase validation. It just rises. Every day. Without apology. And Leo, so can you. There is no greater moment of transformation than the one where you stop asking for permission and start living like you've already been chosen. Because you have. And it's not by someone else. It's by your own soul. Every time you choose yourself, your truth, your peace, your boundaries, you're not just healing the present. You're realigning with the path your soul came here to walk. If that feels big, it's because it is. But big doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start small. Write down 3 things you're genuinely proud of, not achievements for others, but moments that mattered to you. Maybe it was walking away from something that hurt. Maybe it was forgiving yourself when you usually wouldn't. Maybe it was just surviving. That counts. All of it counts. Then, each morning, say this out loud, not as a mantra, but as a promise. I don't need to prove. I just need to show up. Let your presence be enough. Because it is. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your glow. You just need to remember it was never meant to be dimmed. And if you've ever stood back up after being knocked down, if you've ever found light inside the darkness of your own story, I want you to take a moment now and own that truth. Say it in the comments, claim it as your own. I am the light in the darkness of my own life. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's remembering what you forgot while trying to survive. Leo, you don't need a flashlight. You are the flame. And everything that's ahead of you is just waiting for your fire to rise. So here we are, dear Leo. At the end of this journey. And perhaps at the very beginning of something extraordinary. These next 3 days from September 26th to 28th, they are not just dates on a calendar. They are the subtle turning of an invisible key. Something is stirring within your home, not just in the physical space you live in, but in the heart space you carry with you. Maybe it's a strange conversation. A sudden silence that says more than words. A pull to step away just long enough for something sacred to return. What if the moment you're about to step into is the one you'll look back on years from now and say, that's when everything started to change? What if the discomfort, the release, the unexpected shift wasn't random, but divinely timed? You've learned that letting go is not the end, it's the invitation. That love, when real, doesn't demand it arrives. That those who return from your past are not always meant to stay, but to help you see just how far you've come. And most importantly, you've remembered that your fire was never lost. Only waiting. And now, I gently ask you this. What is one thing you're ready to release? So that something greater can find you? What if you trusted that the very act of letting go is the act of welcoming in your next chapter? What would shift if, just for today, you stopped trying to prove your worth? And simply chose to believe in it? I encourage you to sit with those questions. To let them echo softly through your day. And when something in you answers, write it. Speak it. Or share it in the comments below. Because when you do, you give someone else the courage to do the same. If you felt even one moment of clarity, comfort, or quiet power while listening to this message, I want you to know, that's not an accident. That's alignment. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to return to yourself now. And if that truth resonates, I invite you to support this shared journey by liking this video, subscribing to the Eternal Mindfulness channel, and leaving a comment below with what touched you most. Every like, every word you share, every subscription helps us bring more of these gentle, powerful messages to those who need them most. Your presence here means more than you know. Thank you for allowing me to walk with you through this moment in time. In just a few days, the energy will shift again. There's a rare celestial signal coming in early October. It holds something deeply personal for those who are ready to receive. Make sure you're with me for that one. You won't want to miss it. Until then, may you walk away from what no longer serves you, and return home to who you've always been. May you return to fortune, to clarity, to peace, to the life you were always meant to live. And may you always remember, the light is not out there. It's already within you. I'll see you in the next message. Stay close. The universe is just getting started.